Welcome back to the channel USA Coins 69, fascinating world of coin collecting where history, art, and hidden treasure come together in the most unexpected ways. Today we are going to explore a coin that many Americans have seen countless times in their change, but very few have ever stopped to truly appreciate the 1982 Washington $quarter coin. This coin might look ordinary at first glance, but beneath its familiar silver surface lies a story full of mystery, historical significance, and potential value that could make it one of the most exciting discoveries for coin enthusiasts across the country. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a quarter, and realizing that the coin you're holding could be worth a small fortune. That's the incredible possibility behind the 1982 Washington quarter. To understand why this coin is so special, we need to take a trip back in time to the early 1980s, a decade of change for the United States. The country was recovering from a difficult economic period, and the U.S. Mint was facing challenges of its own. In 1982, something unique happened that would later make this year's quarter stand out from all others. The Mint decided to stop producing mint marks on certain coins and also made changes to the metal composition. This was the first time in modern U.S. coinage history that the mint mark P was omitted from quarters struck in Philadelphia, and this small decision ended up creating confusion and rare varieties that today are incredibly valuable to collectors. The Washington quarter itself has a long and patriotic legacy. It was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Since then it has become one of the most recognizable coins in American circulation. The obverse side features the iconic profile of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, a portrait that symbolizes leadership, integrity, and the enduring spirit of the United States. On the reverse side of the 1982 quarter, you'll see the majestic bald eagle with outstretched wings holding arrows and an olive branch. This design has stood as a proud emblem of peace and strength since the coin's inception. Every detail, from the feathers of the eagle to the bold lettering of United States of America, reminds us that this small piece of metal carries a legacy of national pride. Now here's where the story gets even more interesting. 1982 was a year of significant changes for coin collectors because the Mint not only skipped making proof sets for circulation but also made adjustments to the materials used in the quarters. In the past, U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver, but by 1982 they were struck in a copper-nickel clad composition. The removal of mint marks and the changes in the metal content created a perfect storm of collectible varieties. Some 1982 quarters were struck on planchets meant for other coins, and others showed double die errors or weak strikes. These small minting errors have become the key to turning a simple coin into a rare and valuable treasure. Collectors and coin experts often look for 1982 quarters with specific distinguishing features that make them worth more than their face value. For example, a 1982 Washington quarter with a clear double die on the obverse or reverse side can fetch a surprisingly high price at auction. Sometimes the doubling can be seen in the lettering of Liberty or the motto "In God We Trust," or even in the date itself. Other rare varieties include quarters struck on experimental or transitional planchets, which were likely leftover blanks from previous years when the composition of the coin was slightly different. These rare errors are so scarce that when one surfaces, collectors compete fiercely to own it. Another factor that makes the 1982 Washington quarter so valuable is its condition. As with all collectible coins, the state of preservation plays a major role in determining worth. Coins that have been kept untouched in mint state condition, free from scratches or wear, are much more desirable than those that have been in circulation. The difference between a circulated 1982 quarter and an uncirculated one can be thousands of dollars. Collectors pay special attention to coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, since a high grade can significantly boost a coin's market value. In fact, many collectors search through rolls of quarters from banks and old collections hoping to find that one rare pristine coin that others may have overlooked. The thrill of coin collecting often comes from the hunt itself. The idea that somewhere out there in circulation there could still be a coin from 1982 that holds immense hidden value is what keeps the passion alive for many collectors. Some even report finding rare quarters by accident while sorting through old jars of change or coin albums inherited from family members. Each discovery adds another chapter to the exciting story of American coinage and reminds us that sometimes great treasures come in the smallest forms. Over the years, the 1982 Washington quarter has gained legendary status among coin collectors, not only because of its design but because of the many mysteries surrounding its production and the sheer variety of errors associated with it. Whether it's a missing mint mark, a double die error, or a coin struck on the wrong planchet, these anomalies transform a simple everyday coin into a rare collectible piece of history. It's a perfect example of how even modern coins can hold Incredible value if you know what to look for, so the next time you find a 1982 Washington quarter, don't rush to spend it. Take a close look, examine the details, study the lettering and the date, check for signs of doubling or any unusual marks, because you might be holding something far more valuable than 25 cents. This is what makes coin collecting so captivating. It's not just about the metal or the age, it's about the stories, the craftsmanship, and the unexpected treasures waiting to be discovered in plain sight. And now the most exciting part of all: if you are lucky enough to have a 1982 Washington quarter in perfect mint condition with a rare minting error or unique variety, its value could reach an astonishing $76,000. Yes, you heard that right, $76,000 for a single quarter coin. Imagine turning a coin you thought was just loose change into a life-changing discovery. That's the magic of coin collecting and the hidden world of the 1982 Washington quarter. So keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, the next time you check your change you might just uncover a priceless piece of American history. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and overlooked coins from the United States Mint, the Washington quarter dollar coin from the year 1971, a coin that millions of people have spent without a second thought, but for true collectors it holds the possibility of uncovering something extraordinary. What if I told you that tucked away in someone's pocket change or old coin jar there might be a 1971 Washington quarter worth a small fortune? This isn't just a story about a coin, it's about a piece of American heritage that represents craftsmanship, change, and the enduring legacy of George Washington himself. The Washington quarter has been a cornerstone of American coinage since 1932. Created to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, it has since become one of the most iconic and recognizable coins in U.S. history. The design by sculptor John Flanagan captures the noble and timeless profile of George Washington on the obverse side, symbolizing strength, honor, and leadership, qualities that reflect the very foundation of the United States. Below his portrait you'll see the date 1971, marking a year when America was in the midst of transformation culturally, socially, and economically. On the reverse side, the proud American bald eagle spreads its wings wide, clutching arrows and an olive branch, a powerful image representing both readiness for defense and the everlasting pursuit of peace. Every detail, from the feathers to the inscriptions on this coin, showcases the fine craftsmanship that makes the Washington quarter a lasting symbol of the nation's ideals. Now, 1971 was a particularly interesting year for coinage in the United States. The country was transitioning from an era of silver coinage to a modern base metal composition. Prior to 1965, quarters were made from 90% silver, but by 1971 the United States Mint had fully moved to copper-nickel clad coins, meaning the outer layers were made of a copper-nickel alloy bonded to a pure copper core. This change might sound minor, but it created a fascinating divide between older silver quarters and their newer non-silver counterparts. While most 1971 quarters were struck using this modern composition, there have been discoveries of rare minting errors, transitional planchets, and other unusual varieties that make some of these coins worth far more than their face value. The 1971 Washington quarter was produced in two major facilities, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, and coins can be identified by a small D mint mark found on the right side of Washington's ponytail. Coins from Philadelphia had no mint mark that year, and those little letters, or the lack of them, can make a big difference when determining rarity and value. Some collectors have even reported finding 1971 quarters struck on leftover silver planchets from earlier years, an incredibly rare occurrence that can turn an ordinary-looking coin into a collector's dream, since silver planchets should not have been used in 1971. Such a coin would be considered a minting error of the highest rarity and could command a staggering price at auction. Another type of valuable 1971 quarter is the one that shows doubling on the obverse or reverse side, known as a double die error. If you look closely at the words Liberty or In God We Trust, or even the date itself, and notice slight overlapping impressions or blurry lines, it could mean your coin was struck more than once during the minting process. Double die errors are extremely popular among collectors because each one is unique. No two are exactly alike, and depending on the clarity and position of the doubling, such coins can be worth thousands. The thrill of finding a double die 1971 Washington quarter in your collection or pocket change is what makes the world of coin collecting so exciting. Collectors also pay attention to the condition of these coins, as it plays a huge role in determining value. A 1971 quarter that has been in circulation for decades will naturally show signs of wear from daily use, scratches, dings, or faded details, but if you find one that has been preserved in mint state condition with full original luster, sharp details, and no signs of handling, its value can skyrocket. Coins graded MS65 and higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are especially sought after. Such coins look almost untouched, as if they just left the mint. Even though they were struck more than half a century ago, these coins represent the pinnacle of preservation and can attract serious interest from collectors around the world. Another fascinating aspect of the 1971 quarter is how it captures a slice of American history in its metal. The early 1970s were a time of change and innovation. The space race was in full swing, technology was advancing rapidly, and America was defining itself as a modern superpower. The Washington quarter stood as a constant reminder of the nation's founding values, even as it entered a new age of progress. People might not have noticed it while buying coffee or saving change, but every time a 1971 quarter exchanged hands, it carried with it the story of the first president and the enduring ideals of freedom and leadership that built the nation. Now let's talk about those rare errors and special varieties that make some 1971 quarters worth so much. There are coins that were accidentally struck off center, leaving part of the design missing and exposing the copper core. Others show broad strikes where the coin expanded outward because it wasn't properly held in place during minting. Then there are the double denomination errors, coins that were struck on planchets meant for other denominations like a dime or a nickel. These are incredibly rare and are considered major minting mistakes that collectors dream of finding. Even a minor minting variation can set a 1971 quarter apart from the rest, making it a valuable collector's item, worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars for many collectors. The 1971 Washington quarter represents more than just a piece of currency. It's a symbol of the hidden treasures that still circulate among us today. Most people never think twice before spending their quarters, but for those who look closely and know what to search for, every coin becomes a potential mystery to solve. Maybe it's a misprint, maybe it's a double die, maybe it's a transitional error from the silver era, or maybe it's that one perfect mint state example that can make your collection shine brighter than ever before. Coin collecting is a blend of passion, patience, and discovery, and the 1971 quarter embodies all three perfectly. So the next time you find a 1971 Washington quarter in your change, take a closer look, examine it under good light, look for doubling, check for unusual weights or colors, and pay attention to its condition. You never know what secrets that little piece of American history might be hiding there. Could be a story worth telling and a fortune waiting to be discovered right in the palm of your hand. And as incredible as it may sound, if you happen to come across a rare 1971 Washington quarter in flawless uncirculated condition or with a major minting error, its value could reach an astounding $83,000. Yes, that's right, $83,000 for a single quarter coin. What might look like an ordinary piece of change could in fact be one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever struck in modern American history. So keep your eyes open, keep your passion for collecting alive, and remember, the next coin you find could change your life forever. Today we are traveling back to the dawn of a new decade, a time of change, growth, and discovery in the United States, as we uncover the fascinating story behind one of America's most recognizable coins, the 1980 Washington $quarter coin. This simple 25-cent piece may look ordinary at first glance, but for collectors and numismatists around the world it carries stories of design, evolution, minting mysteries, and in rare cases incredible value that can turn an everyday coin into a small fortune. The Washington quarter from 1980 is more than just spare change, it's a piece of American history hiding in plain sight. Let's start by taking a journey back to that pivotal year 1980, a time when Ronald Reagan was running for president, disco was fading, computers were beginning to enter homes, and the U.S. Mint was producing millions of coins for a nation stepping into a new technological era. The Washington quarter had already been around for nearly 50 years by then, first introduced in 1932. To honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the coin had become a lasting symbol of America's spirit and pride. The obverse side of the coin features the classic portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, his sharp and noble profile facing left with the word Liberty curved above his head and the motto "In God We Trust" positioned to his left. The date 1980 sits proudly below, representing not just a year but a moment in time when America stood on the brink of change. Flip the coin to the reverse and you'll find one of the most elegant and enduring designs in U.S. coinage history, the proud American bald eagle, wings spread wide, holding a bundle of arrows in its talon, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation, while the olive branches beneath it represent peace and unity. The words United States of America and E pluribus unum stretch above the eagle, and $quarter marks the Denomination below every detail on the coin from the feathers on the eagle's wings to the fine lines on Washington's hair captures the meticulous craftsmanship that makes this coin not just currency but a work of art. Now, what makes the 1980 Washington quarter truly fascinating is the context in which it was produced. By 1980, America had long stopped using silver in its quarters. The switch to copper nickel-clad coinage had been made 15 years earlier, but that didn't stop collectors from keeping a keen eye on the coins produced during this period. The U.S. Mint continued striking quarters at several locations including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with the letters P, D, and S serving as mint marks for each respectively. Coins from Philadelphia were given the P mint mark for the first time in 1980, making this year especially notable for collectors who recognize it as the beginning of a new era in American coinage. But as with every mass production process, there were bound to be imperfections, and those imperfections are what make some 1980 quarters worth far more than their face value. The minting process involves countless steps, from striking the planchet to imprinting the design, and even a slight variation can create a rare and valuable error. Coin collectors call these minting anomalies, and for them these small mistakes are treasures in disguise. Some of the most valuable 1980 Washington quarters are those struck off center, where part of the design appears cut off or missing, revealing the coin's inner copper layer. Others have double die errors, where the details on the lettering or date appear slightly doubled as a result of a misalignment during striking. These unique imperfections transform an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. Another extremely rare type of error is the transitional planchet mistake, which happens when a coin is accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination or even another year. Imagine a 1980 quarter struck on a planchet meant for a 1979 coin or even a foreign currency. These rare anomalies are incredibly hard to find and can sell for astonishing prices at auctions. Coin enthusiasts often use magnifiers and digital scales to inspect their coins closely, because even the smallest detail can make the difference between an ordinary piece of pocket change and a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Condition is another major factor that determines how valuable a 1980 Washington quarter can be. Coins that have circulated for years show signs of wear and tear, dull surfaces, scratches, or faded designs, but those that have been preserved in mint state condition look as bright and crisp as the day they were struck, and these are the ones collectors go after with great passion. Grading services like PCGS and NGC professionally assess coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers representing near perfect condition. A 1980 quarter graded MS67 or higher can bring in impressive sums at auctions, especially if it shows a rare error or an unusual striking pattern. Some collectors even keep sealed rolls of 1980 quarters in the hope of finding a hidden gem inside. Beyond the monetary value, the 1980 Washington quarter tells a deeper story about America itself. It was a time when the nation was looking toward the future with optimism. The Cold War was ongoing, but the country was innovating rapidly, from technology to space exploration. This little coin was in the pockets of everyday Americans, teachers, soldiers, farmers, and factory workers alike, passing from hand to hand as the economy grew and the culture evolved. Each 1980 quarter carries with it the invisible fingerprints of that era, a silent witness to the everyday lives of millions of Americans. For collectors today, the thrill lies in knowing that these coins are still out there waiting to be found, whether tucked away in an old coin jar, hidden in a drawer, or sitting quietly in circulation among newer coins. The 1980 Washington quarter stands as a reminder that even something as small as a quarter can hold immense value if you know what to look for. So what should you be searching for? Start with coins that have a P, D, or S mint mark, then examine the lettering. Look for doubling or faint strike details. Check the edges for any irregularities in the reeded pattern, and always pay attention to the weight of the coin, since errors can cause slight deviations from the standard weight of 5.67 grams. And most importantly, if you find a 1980 quarter that appears unusually bright or silver-toned, it could be struck on the wrong planchet, which is a major clue that you've got something special. The joy of coin collecting comes from discovery and learning. The 1980 Washington quarter might seem like a simple coin, but behind it lies decades of history, a touch of artistry, and a dash of mystery that keeps collectors searching every day. Who knows, maybe right now in your change you're holding a small piece of American history worth more than you could ever imagine. So keep your eyes open, check your coins carefully, and never underestimate the power of curiosity. In the world of coin collecting, anything is possible. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for. If you happen to come across a 1980 Washington quarter in flawless mint condition, perhaps one with a rare double die error or struck on the wrong planchet, its value could reach an astonishing $65,000. Yes, you heard that right, $65,000 for a single quarter coin. That's the kind of Discovery that changes the way you look at your change forever. So keep collecting, keep learning, and always stay curious, because you never know, the next time you reach into your pocket you might just find a treasure from 1980 that could make your heart race and your collection shine. Today we are going to explore one of the most intriguing pieces of American coinage, a coin that many people have seen in their pocket change but very few have taken the time to look at closely: the United States of America Washington $quarter coin from the year 1979. This little 25-cent piece might seem ordinary at first glance, but believe me, it carries a story of transition, rarity, and value that can surprise even the most experienced collectors. What if the coin you spent on a cup of coffee years ago could have been worth thousands of dollars? That's the fascinating part about the 1979 Washington quarter. Let's travel back in time to the year 1979, a period when America was moving through major social and economic changes. The 1970s had been a decade of transformation, with advancements in technology, space exploration, and shifting economic policies. The United States Mint was also adapting to these changes, producing millions of coins every year to keep up with demand. But the 1979 Washington quarter stands out for more than just its mintage numbers. This coin represents a turning point in modern American coin production. It was part of the copper-nickel clad series, which had replaced the 90% silver composition used before 1965. The new metal blend consisted of an inner layer of pure copper sandwiched between outer layers of copper-nickel, giving it the distinctive silver tone we recognize today. The Washington quarter design itself is a timeless tribute to the first President of the United States, George Washington, who has appeared on the coin's obverse side since 1932, when the design was introduced to celebrate his 200th birthday. Sculptor John Flanagan artwork captures Washington's noble and confident profile facing left, with the word liberty proudly arching above his head and the phrase "In God We Trust" neatly inscribed beside him. Below this patriotic portrait rests the date 1979, marking not just the year of minting but a piece of American history. Frozen in metal, flip the coin over and you are greeted by a magnificent image of the American bald eagle, its wings fully spread, a bundle of arrows clutched in its talons symbolizing strength, defense, and the power to protect the nation. Beneath the eagle lies an olive branch representing peace, while the inscriptions "United States of America" and "E Pluribus Unum" remind us of unity and national pride. This design reflects everything the United States stands for and remains one of the most admired designs in the world of coinage. Now, what makes the 1979 Washington quarter truly special to collectors are the fascinating variations and minting anomalies that occurred during its production. The coin was struck at multiple mints, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with each mint producing its own share of coins identified by the mint marks PD and S. The San Francisco Mint struck proof coins primarily for collectors, while the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced circulation coins. However, not all coins left the mint perfectly struck, and that's where the magic begins. Some 1979 Washington quarters feature doubling errors on the obverse or reverse side caused by a slight misalignment during the striking process. These double die coins can show overlapping images, especially noticeable in the inscriptions "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," or sometimes even on the date itself. If you spot such doubling under magnification, you could be looking at something far more valuable than a regular quarter. Another kind of valuable anomaly includes off-center strikes, where part of the design appears cut off or shifted, creating a unique and dramatic look that collectors absolutely love. Then there are rare transitional planchet errors, where the coin may have been struck on the wrong metal blank. Sometimes planchets meant for other denominations or leftover blanks from earlier minting years were accidentally used in the 1979 production run, making those coins exceptionally rare and highly desirable among numismatists. Condition also plays a crucial role in determining how valuable a 1979 Washington quarter can be. Most coins circulated widely for decades, showing scratches, dents, and faded details, but the coins that escaped circulation and remained untouched can be worth a fortune. Coins preserved in mint state condition with their original shine intact are considered treasures among collectors. Grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, and a 1979 Washington quarter graded MS66 or higher can fetch a surprising premium at auction. Some proof versions with deep cameo contrast, meaning the frosted image sharply stands out against a mirror-like background, are especially sought after. These proof coins were struck multiple times with special dies to achieve a flawless finish and remain some of the most visually stunning examples ever produced. What makes the 1979 Washington quarter fascinating is not just its errors or condition, but the story it tells about American coinage during this era. The late 1970s represented a time of precision and modernization for the U.S. Mint. New technologies were being introduced to improve consistency and reduce human error, yet despite these efforts, mistakes still happened, and those mistakes turned out to be the treasures we chase today. Every small variation, every tiny imperfection tells a story of a moment when a machine or human hand added a little twist of fate to a coin that was meant to be ordinary but became extraordinary instead. For collectors and treasure hunters, the thrill of finding one of these rare quarters is beyond words. Imagine going through your old coin jars or change drawers and spotting a 1979 Washington quarter that looks a little different. Perhaps the lettering seems doubled or the edge appears slightly off-center. That small detail could be the key to unlocking a hidden fortune. There are countless stories of people who discovered rare quarters among their loose change only to find out later that their find was worth thousands. The beauty of coin collecting is that you never know what you might uncover. History and value can hide in the most unexpected place. It's also interesting to note that the 1979 Washington quarter shares a connection with one of the most important transitions in U.S. coin history. This was the same year the United States introduced the Susan B. Anthony dollar, a coin that was meant to replace the $1 bill but ultimately failed to gain popularity. So while the dollar coin struggled to find acceptance, the Washington quarter continued to dominate circulation, remaining the most trusted and widely used denomination across America. This further increased its mintage but also created subtle variations between mint locations that make some examples more desirable than others. The 1979 Washington quarter stands as a shining example of how beauty, precision, and small imperfections can combine to create something truly valuable. Each coin is a piece of art that has traveled through time, passed from hand to hand, carrying the history of everyday America. From grocery stores and gas stations to collectors' showcases and auction houses, this coin has seen it all, and the possibility that a rare and valuable version might still be out there waiting to be discovered makes it even more exciting. So the next time you hold a 1979 Washington quarter, take a good look at it, check for mint marks, look closely at the details, and examine it under light. You might notice something unusual. Maybe the design is off-center, maybe the letters are doubled, or perhaps the shine looks unusually bright. Any of these details could indicate a rare variety worth far more than you expect. These coins are not just money, they are pieces of American history and symbols of the craftsmanship and pride that define the United States Mint. And now for the most thrilling part of all, if you happen to find a 1979 Washington quarter in flawless uncirculated condition, or one that features a rare double die or minting error, its value could reach an astonishing $77,000. Yes, you heard that right, $77,000 for a single quarter coin. Imagine finding a piece of change that holds such incredible value that it could change your life forever. So keep your eyes open, treasure hunters, because the next coin you come across might just be your ticket to discovering one of the most valuable Washington quarters ever struck in American history. In the vast and fascinating history of United States coins, one particular coin stands out not just for its beauty and legacy but for the incredible surprises it continues to hold even decades later. The 1965 Washington quarter dollar coin. This coin might look like just another piece of pocket change that has passed through countless hands over the years, but in truth some of these coins have turned out to be extremely rare treasures hiding in plain sight, and their stories are enough to make any coin enthusiasts stop and take a closer look every time they see a quarter minted from that year, because 1965 wasn't just any ordinary year in American coinage history. It was a time of great change and transition, a time when the very composition of our coins underwent a major shift due to the rising cost of silver. For years before 1965, United States quarters were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, giving them that bright white shine and distinctive ring that collectors love. But as silver prices began to climb, the government made a major decision to remove silver from circulating quarters and switch to a copper-nickel-clad composition. This change was meant to save money for the mint and prevent people from hoarding coins for their silver content, but this major transition also led to a few unexpected minting errors, and those mistakes are what make some 1965 Washington quarters worth an absolute fortune today. At first glance, the 1965 quarter doesn't look too special. It features the familiar bust of George Washington designed by John Flanagan on the obverse and the proud American bald eagle on the reverse. It weighs about 5.67 grams and lacks a mint mark since all 1965 quarters were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But what makes some of these coins extraordinary is the fact that a few of them were accidentally struck on leftover 1964 silver planchets, meaning they were minted in pure silver when they were never supposed to be. Imagine this for a moment during the Great Coinage Transition. The mint was using up the last of its silver blanks to produce 1964 quarters, but somehow a few of these silver planchets remained in the machinery and were mistakenly used to strike new coins bearing the 1965 date. This error went unnoticed for some time, and those rare 1965 silver quarters were released into circulation, blending in with millions of clad quarters that looked almost identical to the untrained eye, and even today people are still finding these ultra-rare pieces. Among ordinary change collectors today know that one of the best ways to identify a true 1965 silver quarter is to weigh it on a precise scale, because while the regular copper nickel-clad version weighs 5.67 grams, the rare silver era coins weigh slightly more, around 6.25 grams, due to the heavier metal composition. Another way to check is to look closely at the edge of the coin. Regular clad quarters show a visible copper stripe around the rim, but a silver quarter's edge appears solid silver all the way through. This small detail has led to some jaw-dropping discoveries, as people sorting through old change jars have suddenly realized they're holding something far rarer than they imagined. Over the years, these accidental silver 1965 Washington quarters have sold at auction for astonishing amounts of money, especially when found in mint state condition with strong details and beautiful luster. Collectors and numismatists prize these coins not only for their rarity but for what they represent: a unique moment in American history when the nation transitioned from precious metal coinage to modern materials. It's a coin that tells the story of economic shifts, technological challenges, and the hidden wonders that can still be found in everyday currency. But the excitement doesn't stop there. Beyond the famous silver errors, there are also varieties in strike quality, die condition, and even some proof-like surfaces that make certain 1965 quarters even more valuable. Coins with full sharp details, especially on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, can command premium prices from dedicated collectors who are always on the hunt for the finest known examples. The search for these special quarters has become a thrilling hobby for many people who love the idea that something worth a small fortune could be hiding in plain sight. So the next time you come across a 1965 Washington quarter, don't be too quick to spend it. Take a moment to look closely at its details, weigh it if you can, and examine the edge carefully. You might just be holding one of those extraordinary silver strike errors that slipped through the cracks during that historic minting transition. The world of coins is full of stories like this, where history and chance collide to create unexpected treasures, and every now and then those treasures still make their way into the hands of people who least expect it. Among all the coins that tell the tale of America's changing times, the 1965 Washington quarter holds a special place. It bridges the gap between the old and the new, between silver and modern clad coinage, between the age of tradition and the age of progress. And while most of them may be worth only 25 cents, a lucky few have been known to fetch prices that make collectors' hearts race. One such rare and perfect 1965 Washington quarter dollar coin once sold for an unbelievable $83,000.